Vickery's in the kitchen. We're very excited. This is a very indulgent dish, isn't it, Phil?
It sure is. It sure is. Here it is. Look at that here. There it is. You can see that? There it is. So that's very simple roast turbot Hollandaise sauce, a few new potatoes, excuse me, and a little bit of asparagus. Now, when you cook simple food, it's difficult to cook it. Carry on.
It's good, Spud.
It's not bad, is it?
Well,
I don't know the reason why, because we cook them and then we leave them to set at room temperature for about half an hour, and it just sets that starch, and it's delicious. And when you cook simple food, you can't hide. You've got to cook it right. So let's talk about turbot first before we start that. This is turbot here. It's a flat fish. As you turn around, you can see. And what I've done is
it's quite thick, isn't it?
It is, and this is quite a small one. The other ones can be up to probably about 8 or 9 centimetres thick. And what I've done is what they call winged and split. So you wing it, take off the wing, which is the outside. Yeah. That's the little tiny bones. And you split it down the middle. And that we can roast it on the bone. We always used to roast it on the bone. That way it keeps it tender, it keeps it delicious, it keeps it soft, moist, everything. And if you're in a restaurant situation, you can hold it when it's on the bone. When you take it off the bone and cook it, you've got a very short window you can serve it before it overcooks. So we used to roast it. As I've roasted some here for you now. I roasted 20 minutes ago. You pop it back in the oven, let it set. So it's not hot and it's not cold, it's in between.
Is it the most expensive fish?
One of the most expensive. Right. That halibut. So I never cooked halibut, I couldn't afford it. When I first started and I couldn't afford turbot, we used to use brill, which is a similar version to that, a slightly thinner, flatter fish. But that was the same thing. We did used to roast it on the bone. But, as I said, to cook it properly, you need to do very simple things to it. Yeah. So, salt, again, not too much, a little bit of ground pepper, both sides. And as you'll see, I'm going to roast it on the skin. That protects it as well. In this pan here, I have a little touch of oil, to which I'm going to add a couple of spoonfuls of butter. Now, I don't use huge amounts of butter in my cooking. I just add enough just to make sure, you'll see there, it's just starting to change colour. See that there? A bit brown just there. And what you do, let that sort of partially melt. This is unsalted butter. If you use salted butter, it tends to foam and brown quicker because the salt's into there. So that's what we're after. A little bit of brown there, and then we just put black side down into the butter, like that. Wash my hands. And
That's a good noise, isn't it?
Oh, it's lovely. And it's really important you get that colour. Now, even that few seconds, you can see, so you'll just see that that's all after. Is that lovely brown butter?
Oh,
at that point there, in the oven. Set at 200 degrees or 195.
That quick, literally on there and then in the oven.
Yes. Now, what you need to do is cook that for probably about 10 to 12 minutes. But the internal temperature, we're getting a bit technical now, the internal temperature is around about 48 degrees. Right. Now, if you've got a digital thermometer that a lot of people have, set it to 48. By the time you've taken it out and covered it and rested it, that will go to 50, which is rare. In a rare steak. That's just enough to cook the fish. If you don't have one of those, I'll show you in a second, you can just press the fish, it will just pop off the bone. Wow. And you'll know. I'll show you in a second. Right, whilst that's cooking, let's talk about Hollandaise. Over here are the ingredients. Now, this is a bit chefy. You don't need to do all these things, but this is what I've done. So here I've got water, white wine vinegar, OK. I've also got a mixture of white peppercorns. Now, if you don't have white peppercorns, ground white pepper is absolutely fine. Yeah. A few celery stalks, very chefy, you don't need that. That's what I was taught.
So they're the bits you usually chuck in the bin, are they?
Exactly,
right, okay.
Exactly. And a little bit of shallot or onion. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. You can just use ground pepper and vinegar, reduce it down with a bit of water. That will give you roughly the same effect. Now, you cook that down roughly 50% of its volume, and you end up with this little bit here, which is it. That's the reduction. See that there? That's the reduction there.
Wow.
OK, now that is very powerful. You can have a little taste of that. Dip your finger in there. It's only vinegar.
Get involved.
Cold vinegar.
Oh, yeah. That's powerful, isn't it?
I'm big into that.
So that is the base.
Now, nice on a salad.
Exactly, a bit of oil. Now, that's the base. If that base isn't powerful enough, when you add it to the egg yolks, like I've done here, which you will do, it will lose it, because it's primarily fat. So what I've got in here is 4 egg yolks that I've added that boiling liquid to. Yeah. And I've cooked it over a pan of boiling water, as you can see here, until it's thickened. But if I lift that whisk up, you can see the steam. Now, if it's not steaming, it's not going to be cooked enough to hold the butter. Yeah. Basically, you're making a hot mayonnaise. So you need that butter to fit into there.
So this could curdle, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And it'll curdle for 2 or 3 reasons. One, you haven't cooked that enough and the liquid hasn't absorbed. And also, if you add too much butter to it and the butter's cold, it will stop that straight away. So...
Although hot mayonnaise also sounds delicious.
Yes, it does. So, a bit of...
Point to that, please.
So the butter I just whisk in, as you'll see straight away, because that's nice and thick. Look at that. It emulsifies straight away. Now, that's getting a bit hot there. So I'm going to put it onto my board. And you'll see, because you whisk that, move it out of the way, you'll see. Because I whisked that, Look at that, it doesn't split.
That is perfect.
Look at
Touch more. Now, a lot of chefs use clarified butter, which is just butter that has been warmed and it separates it out into curds and whey. I don't. I put the whole lot in. What's the point? Life's too short. Now, if it gets a bit thick at that stage, what you can also do is add a little touch of water to that. You've got boiling water out of the pan here. OK, just a little touch. And that will just... Look at that, bring that back to a nice
You're
soft
so
sauce.
confident with you, because we're so nervous. I don't know if you make a hollandaise, but it's a
I've
nervy
never
time.
made one. I did it once on MasterChef, and it was like... It's actually quite difficult. It's a lot of mixing.
I've done it for years. Make it look easy. Now, this one I made slightly earlier, because I didn't know if that was going to work or not. It might have split, but it didn't. In actual fact, there's one I made earlier, and you'll see... Look at that. See, that's been made 20 minutes, and I've left it... It's not steaming, but it's just set.
Perfect.
Now, to finish that, there's salt.
And you can rescue it when it splits, can you?
You can if you're quick. Touch of boiling water might bring it back, but it's gone too far, and that's primarily because one is they're not the same temperature. You'll end up with it. So anyway, start again. Pepper, and there's a squeeze of lemon on there, like that, and then I finish that with chopped chives. Chopped chives go in, and that is your chive hollandaise. And
oh my word! Look at the colour.
look at that there. Now, talking about the fish, now I've cooked your one for
Amazing.
10 to 12 minutes. Here it is. And what I'm going to do is lift... So there it is. So I've cooked it on the brown skin, turn it on the white skin, and you lift that off now...
Look at the size of it.
Yeah,
It's
so
massive,
look at
isn't
that
it?
now. You can lift those off because... Don't waste that. I put that in the hollandaise.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
delicious. Oh, get a big lump of bread into that. That'll
And
be yum.
let me just show you this.
No,
So what you
just
do is you put the fork onto the black skin and you roll the black skin and off it comes.
Oh, my goodness.
OK, so you do that. Oh. Sorry.
It's all right, I'll have it.
I flicked you with fish skin. Like that, and then you'll see the little bits at the bottom there. You can take those little bones out if you want. The only bones are going to be Alison. Look at that. You take those off.
Oh, wow.
You promise?
Yeah, like that.
My
I
dog
really
as
don't
well.
like...
My
If
dog
I
would
get a
have that
bone,
skin.
Oh, look
it's
at that.
game
That's come
over.
up already. Now that's, Alison, look at that. That
That
is cooked,
looks
as you can
lovely.
see. Now, when I put that just there...
Oh, yes.
Craig,
Is this your first turbot?
First turbot, yeah.
Oh, wow,
right,
you're in
bit
for
of
a treat.
hollandaise.
Oh,
Al,
yeah.
Use that bit on there, Al.
Oh, love it.
That one there. Let me do Craig's quickly. Craig,
I-
yours is on there.
Can I give you something when you're giving us something?
We gave you a cake as well.
The cake we gave you earlier wasn't the one that Alison had made, but she made this one.
Did you? This is a real one, yeah. Did you?
She made this one, yeah.
There you
Happy
go.
birthday.
Happy birthday, babes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Look at that, folks. Look at
Isn't that
that.
lovely?
Right, Craig,
Okay,
there you go.
yes.
Now,
So
Right, I'm
Just
going to try.
fall
I'm
off the
trying
bone,
it.
and you'll
It
see-
literally
Oh, my
just
word.
slid off.
that will just slide off there, look.
Oh, my
Look.
word.
It just pops off the bone.
Oh, my
But
God.
that's because you haven't overcooked it.
Oh, my
A
God.
little squeeze of lemon.
How good is that?
It's there.
Thank you
That's
so much,
unbelievable.
Bill.
12 minutes. But you cannot hide. You have
The
to do it very-
birthday boy did good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Did
so
you really
much.
make that?
Oh, I did. For details of today's recipes and more delicious ideas from our chefs, our wonderful chefs,
Top girl.
download the app.